Welcome back to the All-Star Boxing Podcast. We've drawn the shirt from the last week's podcast of Vegas Larfield, and the signed Vegas Larfield shirt has been won by Anthony Costa. So congratulations, Anthony. If you can message the page, we'll swing the shirt out to you. Also, this week on the podcast, we have Liam Wilson, fresh off his win against world-rated number 6 Joe Noynay. Joe Rogan podcast by day. No, train by day, Joe Rogan podcast by night, all day.
We on? Okay, 3, 2, 1. All right, cool. Well, guys, welcome back. We've got a special one for you. We've got Coach Benny again back on the panel. We have our Coach Chris Evans. He's back on, or for the first time, sorry. And Liam. So we have the new WBO Asian Pacific champion, Silvia Bout's WBO regional champion, and IBF Youth World Championship. Liam. So it's been a couple of weeks now. What have you been doing since the fight? You've been busy.
Yeah, I was just relaxing with the family and the kids, but since then I've had COVID. So last week's been just like isolating inside. Still soaking up what I've done.
Your phone's been blown up?
Yeah, the first few days were. And then I switched off from the whole thing. Switched off to what I'd done as well. Took a few days for me to even realise like what I'd done and, soak up the rewards too.
Yeah.
So I think now it's really hitting me.
Yep.
Like the win, what it meant, and I've been thinking about like the past, like the last 8 months, like since the first fight, and just how dreadful that was. Yeah.
We'll go into the fight. What about you, Benny? Your phone been going off? Everyone's been calling you?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, everyone has been calling me, and obviously it was a huge result for the gym, huge result for Liam. It's been going crazy. It never stops. But everyone just congratulating us, and it's really appreciated because it was a huge achievement. That the rematch, the weight, all of that stuff combined. So yeah, very proud.
And we all knew, as we saw in the weigh-in, he came like 3 kilos heavier. That played a massive effect. That's what so when I watched the weigh-in, because I'm pumped and I'm like, okay, this is the no limit weigh-in. When I saw he was overweight, because I don't know nothing, so we saw that, and I was like, this is probably going to go ahead. And then this is what I kind of felt, which was strange. They go to Liam. Oh, Liam, what do you want to do? And then everyone's watching Liam like, oh, of course I'll fight. I'm a fighter, you know. But they put all that pressure on you, like, Liam, what do you want to do? All eyes on Liam.
Yeah, it kind of put me in two different minds, and I think would have been the same for Benny because we didn't know what the approach was from his team. Like, did he come in and not train, or did he simply use it as an advantage?
Yeah.
So, and it kind of did play a part. And then when the start of the fight, I dictated like how he would start. If he started sharp, I kind of thought, well. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was just two different sort of.
Yeah. And we'll go into all of that. But you two were training. You were doing more with Chris Evans.
Yeah, well, I was going to Chris has played two mornings a week on average. So just going on technical stuff. Like under Benny, I've been with Benny for 6 years, and like it's just something different. New eyes. Yeah. And a new brain to sort of. Pick up the little flaws I've done, and
it was almost like a rebirth because we all saw a new Liam Wilson. We all saw this new. Your body looked good. You're just energetically. You're different in the gym, and that's what that hyper obsession is. You were just so hyper obsessed with this fight, but we saw this whole new Liam, a different Liam to the first fight.
Yeah, I definitely felt that as well, and that's simply down to the preparation and just. I think me losing like as a wake up call to what I was doing as a fighter, what I was doing at home, my diet, training. And I just couldn't stomach the thought of this guy beating me and possibly derailing me overnight. And that's what it felt like.
And that's what this sport feels like, Chris. I remember you said to me a while back, I'll never forget this, you said, boxing will always take something away from you, so make sure you take something away from boxing. This is a dangerous sport. I lost the last one. You had that first loss, and this is as real as it gets. And even you guys understood the risk with the second fight. You guys were under the pump because even when you came in heavier, everyone's looking at you like, oh, you're responsible now. If something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Like through the whole 8 months, or even like from when I accepted the rematch, my mind went from so many different little phases, like the winning, if I lost, because I knew this guy already beat me before, so I thought of all the outcomes, and then it got to a point of my manager and my trainer Benny. Like I knew, like if I lost, not just me, they would cop it. So I had, like, as you know, it's just the weight on my shoulders. Going into it was, I don't want to experience that again. But
and obviously you guys have cornered Liam's whole pro career. Did you see a difference in Liam this time around?
Not really a difference. It's the same Liam that's always been at the level he is. The only thing that was different was he was using his full array of ability coming in. So not with the mindset that he had to blow someone out, but a more mature mindset. So he came in a lot more mature, a lot of growth from how he'd boxed before. He's starting to grow into his full ability.
Nice. Do you both think? Look, we all hate losing. We saw the effects of it that it had on you. Is this like the best thing that could have happened? Or
1,000,000%, yeah, 1,000,000%. I've always said to anybody from the start with Liam, what makes him could also break him, and that's his ability, his want to fight. So, all you have to do with the old Liam was, as soon as you go out, just poke your tongue at Liam and he'll want to kill you. It'll be that easy. He just switches off and just wants to fight. But we've got him using his boxing brain. Obviously, I've been with Chris for a long time. Like we're real good mates, and I trust Chris with my life. And Liam boxing with Chris is amazing because he's a very good technical coach and tactical coach as well. But it's just added so much to Liam, just giving him another, just something fresh. You know what I mean? Like we're all in here all the day, and boxing's repetitive. It's boring. It's so boring at the top level because it's the same stuff. You don't have to do a million different things. It's just shadow boxing, skipping, running, sparring, bag work. Some pad work. Like it's not too complicated. But
on repeat.
It's that on repeat, and if you can't deal with that, you're not going to progress and get where you want to get to. But yeah, it was very good for Liam to go over there with Chris. Yeah, it was a great addition.
For both of you, this was a different camp. Like you treated this one different. Because, like example, we fought in the same card for the first one, and we were each other's last spar. But I'm nowhere like Noynay. Yeah. So at least this camp, it was just straight southpaws. Yeah. Straight, just everyone you sparred Daryl Foley. Yeah. Or you even had Vegas in here when you did need that gym work. Vegas was southpaw, so it was just to the T, perfect.
Yeah, and the first one, going back to the first one, it's not that we did overlook him. There's no doubt about that. But with the sparring with Liam, like Liam's a hard sparrer. So there's people out there that don't want to spar him. I don't begrudge him for that because who wants to get in there at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday morning with this guy trying to rip your head off? But that's the way he spars. And obviously the proof is that look where he is because he's got that mentality. So that the first camp was very hard to get sparring. We were sparring orthodoxes mainly. The southpaws out there, they just weren't there. We couldn't get them. So we were sparring Bruno, Jason Maloney, yourself, Vegas. That's not ideal getting you ready for Joe Noynay. So that's a huge lesson for us and a great lesson. And the fight in itself, it humbled us all. And this is what you see. You see a sign of guys that either weren't going to come back and we were full of shit and we were useless, or we turned it around and we came out on top. So it all worked out well.
But you would have been on the firing range too, because again, if this loss, like this meant everything. That if it was going to be a repeat, you would have been in the firing range. This is such a fickle sport. If you lose, you're a high job. But if you win, you're like the biggest thing in the world. Yeah, it's crazy.
But even when you win, you still they find a way. Yeah, they find a reason why to take away from your win, or whatever. I mean, whatever. Yeah. You can only worry about the people that's in your circle, their opinions. I mean, look at Liam, the way that he conducted himself this camp. No social media, just focused on the goal. And it's hard to even talk about. Like, it makes me physically sick, the pressure that we were both under, and he's the one that had to deliver. It's out of my hands. All I can do is train the guy. Yeah. All we can do is do the right thing and get him doing it, Chris and I and the team. And then, man, to see him go out there and deal with that pressure, that was something else. That was a real elite level athlete. That was really an elite level thing that he did. Like the pressure that he had in the dressing rooms. You know, Liam sitting down in the dressing rooms before the fight. He's sitting on the chair and he's like, I got to win. I made too many promises. I've got to win this. Like this is 20 minutes before he walks out. And then you walk out, you hear the song, you look at the people, you know you're on national television and worldwide audience, and then deliver that. Man, that's some elite level stuff right there.
And that was another viral KO. Like I've seen that everywhere. On this American boxing page, it just popped up. Someone would have shared it. At like 200+ views. Like huge. How do you look? You still must be just trying to process it all.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I'm proud that I've done it, but I'm not shocked about it. I'm not shocked about the outcome because I think me losing the first fight, I felt as if I was vulnerable in the first one. He beat me and he beat me fair and square, but I knew when I took the rematch, I had to apply myself and I was definitely going to win. So the outcome, I don't know. Like I was just different. I think the preparation. I knew I made so many changes in myself.
Yeah. What was different? What were the changes that you made? Looking back at the first camp and then this camp, what have you done different?
Well, the social media, dieting.
So proper food.
You
never really did it before?
Never done it, no, because
you've always been able to make super featherweight.
And like to me, it still felt pretty comfortable, but I just did it in an unprofessional way, and that's losing the fluid weight. And you know, in boxing, you can't risk that. Like the fluid in your brain, we see time and time again fighters who will crumble because of that. On the weekend, that Michael Conlon, I believe the same thing happened there. He's winning, but just the weight cut can cause.
Yeah. Last round, look at that.
Yeah.
That was a crazy fight.
And he did. He died in the arsenal like 2 rounds ago, and I think it was very evident that the weight cut got to him.
Yeah.
So even watching that, it's refreshing. Like, don't do that again. Don't do that again.
We'll go through in phases. With your first fight, have you watched the take back? You ever watched it back?
I have for like 2 or 3 times, I reckon.
But only recently you will have?
Yeah, I did like once after it. After the fight, I watched it once. But then like originally I was only watching it from round 1 to round 3. Because I knew it went bad on round 4 and 5. Yeah, wow. So I skipped that. Benny told me, he said, make sure you're watching the fight 3 times a week and get familiar with him and what you done wrong. But I said I did. I maybe did once, but I just couldn't really bring myself to it. Yeah. Because I felt like I'm the better fighter. I was going to beat him how I was fighting that, like how I was. But I just got too complacent. And I felt in the rematch, as long as I didn't do that, I was going to win. So
we've seen the difference. Like, again, your body was different. Everything about you this time around was so much different than the first time. So who's to say if you won the first fight, you would have still been in the same course?
Yeah, that's what I was about to. I was about to say that if this conversation was before the first Joe Noynay fight, Liam would say, "No, I feel good. I feel great." Like we didn't know any better. It's it is what it is. And now we come out and we learnt the most valuable lesson that we could possibly learn with that loss is that you can't overlook anybody and you've got to be on. You've got to be on all the time. There is no room for, I'm a little bit off today. Not in this sport. This is a sport where people die. So you've got to really take every part of it seriously.
Yeah. What do you think, Chris? Like, because you guys were working together, you understood just how much this meant to Liam, and you're obviously riding the wave with the whole All-Star crew and Liam as well. Did you have any doubts, or what was really going through in your mind?
No, not at all. So even when I spoke to Liam's manager when it was first floated the idea of the rematch, I told him that Liam wins a fight every day, twice on Sunday. So it was, I knew that there were things that happened in the first fight with Liam that he could have done better, and that was a fight that he probably should have won. It was a fight that, no discrediting to Joe Noynay, but Liam probably lost that fight himself more than Noynay beating him. From what I've seen Liam do over the years and in the gym, I knew that he had the ability to beat Noynay in the first fight, and that if he did those things right in camp and in the ring, then the second fight he'd do it quite easily.
Yeah, of course. It's almost like we know where you're at in boxing, and now like you've superseded everyone here. Like now that you're, what are you, number 6 in the world WBO, number 14 WBC, number 14 IBF. You now got a world ranking, and just at the top, who's Shakur Stevenson?
Yeah, it's
Oscar Valdez. You're almost there.
Yeah, and like I was thinking about it the other day, I think to rise to the top, or like any big opportunities that come now, it seems as if it's come very quickly in my career.
Yeah.
And I knew that from when we were taking the first couple of fights. Like the risks we were taking with Jesus Quadro. I knew the path I was on and like what the team wanted as well, being my promoter. So I knew my career was going to end up like this. So yeah, fuck. It's stressful, but
yeah. We're to rush this podcast because you're going to America on the weekend. What's planned? What's planned for the trip? How long are you away for?
I'm only going for a week now.
A week
so
now.
I'm just going for the week to support the Tim Zhu fight.
Yeah.
With no limits.
Yep.
And yeah,
sparring day.
No, I think no, not sparring anymore.
Okay,
no.
yeah.
So
But
just
you
going
were
to.
going to spar Shakur Stevenson.
Yeah, they asked me if I wanted to spar Shakur Stevenson, and I had to decline because I've had COVID the last week. Yeah. And
just feeling a bit flat from the fight.
Yeah. No, going off how I felt, I couldn't do any sparring, and definitely not with someone of his caliber.
Yeah, and to even, like you said, you're not 100% to be able to perform the way you could, and then have him with his imprint.
Well, it's that, and like in sparring, like you guys know, like I turned into a fight. You know what I mean? So I knew it would have ended like that. And he's in the same division as me. So if we were to meet, I didn't want him to have that edge over me. Him knowing that he's already beat me in sparring or get a good insight on me. So I probably wouldn't even spar him anyway, even if I was feeling good.
When you first lost, like, what did you have nightmares? How did it really shake your world? Because
I think like after it happened, it was just crazy to see how the Australian public react to it, how easily you can be derailed overnight. And like in my head, I didn't think like that, but I could see in the public's eyes, it was like that. I knew I was still just as good, if not, I was going to come back better. But
you even see, and that's the thing with athletes, even at your level, you don't read the comments, because even with this rematch, I saw so many people, Noynay again, Liam's on his back again, but that's just the public.
Yeah,
the public is so brutal and ruthless. They don't care.
Even if you win, like you're doing something wrong in somebody's eyes. So yeah, like it was hard to stomach. I knew I was feeling how whatever I was feeling, but then I was thinking of how Benny was or how the manager was, because us three were all involved. I knew me losing the first fight put doubts on him or the manager, and then taking the rematch, it was all on them again. Then it was up to me to win it. So it was just accumulating from everywhere.
You didn't take the easy path?
No, definitely not.
Straight to the rematch.
I wanted the rematch, definitely. I had a few days of grieving, and then my decision to take the rematch was, I knew that was right, but I knew it was a risky one too. If I lost, I'd hate to even think where I'd be. I know I could say I'd come back, but it'd be pretty hard.
Yeah,
it'd be hard. Just the same guy beat me again. I couldn't do it.
He's no joke. He's the real deal. Like,
good deal.
He's like a little mini Pacquiao, or like small mini Manny Pacquiao. But dude, and this is where people don't understand. He was ranked number 6. You pretty much took his ranking. Yeah. So he wasn't a pushover. He wasn't some easy fellow that was just kind of fill in the card. He's world level.
No, he was good. He was good, even like with the weight issue, because we couldn't get confident from that if we thought he hasn't trained.
Yeah. Which
I didn't really believe for a second. But whatever if he was going to be sluggish, I didn't get any confidence from that at all. Because when he came out, he still came out pretty sharp. So then in that stage, like my mind's going to 2 different things again. Like I had to not buy into it too much, not look at the negative. I just had to think. Because originally I prepared for the best Joe Noynay.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was overweight until 2 days out. So
like you said, they could have been their last little ace. They could have played coming strong.
Who knows? Like we'll never know, because it's hard to. They don't speak English, so they'll never tell us anyway. But that could have just been. It could have been that. It could have been a tactic where they just thought, well, we've bashed this guy before. We'll come over here. We'll take the money and we'll go home and don't worry about the weight cut. If they're going to cut us 20% off our purse, well, so be it. That could have been the theory. We'll never know. But look on YouTube. You can see Joe Noynay training in January and February. So he was training. He's doing pad work. He's doing. I've watched it all. I was watching it all the whole time. So he was in the gym. Yeah, he's saying now he's going up to super lightweight. That's what he was saying to us after the fight.
Make that weight anymore.
Yeah, maybe he can't make that weight. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Who cares really from our side of it? Because we have one job to do, and it's not our job to worry about what Joe Noynay is doing. Because if he comes 64 kilos like he did, comes in and puts him on his ass and knocks him out, no one's saying us, oh, you did a good job giving away weight. It's not like that. It's kill or be killed, and we did the job. So
wow. Obviously, you're still resting. You get to really process all of this. We don't know what's happening next.
Oh, there's some talks with nothing that can be announced yet, but yeah, there's some big things on the horizon. I mean, Liam holds all the cards now, so this is how crazy this sport is. Look at if he had a lost, he ain't holding nothing. He's holding a bucket.
Yeah.
That's how fucked this sport can be. You either
What was going through your mind through now? Because you had the whole camp, and then the weigh-in, and then that last little bit. You've dreamt of this moment for so long. The rematch. You've seen him. Like, what were you feeling?
Like just before it?
Yeah. Before the fight.
It felt like as if I was like when I first started boxing. Those nerves you get, like mixed with being scared as well. I was scared of the outcome. I knew I'd trained to win. I was confident I was going to win, but just thought of how my life would be if I did lose. Like what would be next? Can I come back from that? I'm really trying to come back the second time, but can I come back? Can I come back the second or the third? Come back and do it again. So that scared me. That scared me. Like I've got my family, got kids. So it could have been really because I feel like it would have been a downhill spiral if I'd lost. But
no, you pulled through, and we all believed in you.
Yeah.
And Joe Noynay still coming a favourite as that. He was still world class. So it was all on your shoulders.
Yeah.
It was all, and that's why. So I was in the crowd, and that was the Liam show. Like that's me just speaking for my own kind of opinion, being there. But when you walked out, it's dead silent. Everyone's just tuned into this fight, and then after when you left, everyone's off to the bar. Everyone's just doing their own thing. That was your show. Everyone was there to really support you. It wasn't No Limit's fault they're having to change the venue, but I think a lot of people were there for you, really.
Yeah, and I think like also being in Brisbane, and I could feel it in the crowd. I felt like it was my night as well. Like back in Brisbane, it felt just right. When the rematch got announced, first of all, it was the date. I got moved everywhere to Gold Coast, to Newcastle, down Sydney, and like none of that felt right to me. I didn't want to fight in the same place where I just lost against him. I lost against him. I didn't want to fight in Sydney because like I'm from Queensland. I've done my fair share of traveling away, down in New South Wales. So when it got announced, only a couple of weeks out that I was back in Brisbane, that felt just right. And yeah, from that my confidence did grow a lot more.
Yeah, nice. Chris, what do you think of Liam's mentality? You've known him for years now, and you see just how his mind works when he spars, his goals, just how he really holds himself. Because he's the nicest person outside of the ring, but he's just got that that animal instinct, and that's what's going to take him to that world level. In your words, how can you describe Liam?
Oh, his mentality when he fights, he's a fighter.
Yeah.
So he wants to win, and he's a fighter. The one thing he's developing though is that maturity around it. He knows how to control it a bit more now, and not let it control him when he's in the ring, and not let it consume him when he's outside the ring and in training. So he's getting the best of both worlds around that. He's still got that natural fighter in him, that desire, but he's learning how to control it and how to harness it more.
Because it's a beast, and once it's untamed, it just be destructive, and we lose discipline.
Yeah.
We can. It's easy to lose discipline.
Yeah, no, exactly. And if you think about it, he's only 11 fights in now. So a lot of these other guys that are 20-0 and 23-0 and 20-2, whatever they are, they have that time in their career to develop and to get that out of them. Like they, and you can do that in pub shows against local guys, and we can teach that. But he's been on the fast track since the start. Like look at his third fight against Brent Rice, who was the Australian champion for 2 years. Fights him on Mundine Horn, 30,000 people, something like that. Co-main event, 10 rounds. Like, mate, that doesn't happen on your third fight against an undefeated Australian champion. It doesn't happen. So from there, he's just been stepping up all the time. So yeah, that's one thing to think about when we think about. We say that he can be uncoachable when he gets into that mindset. He's still a novice, really, in the pro game. He's still a novice.
We'll never stop learning anyway.
But he's not now. Yeah, he's not now a novice because of those steps that he's taken. But you could mistake him for being a novice, if he was 10-1 and still doing that against low-level guys. But he's stepping up all the time. Like some very, very hard, entertaining fights that Liam's been in. He's always a crowd favourite. So yeah.
You were saying straight after you called our old coach Donnie Tyndall.
Yeah, straight away I did. Yeah, I went outside and called Donnie and told him that his boy won.
Yeah, nice.
And that was a special conversation. I always ring Donnie after Liam wins, and and say that I've got the keys to Donny's Ferrari, and that because I must pay respect to Donny. He had and Lenny Hams had Liam from when he was a kid out at Kingaroy. Funny enough, I had my first fight when I was a kid in Kingaroy, and Lenny Hams would have been the referee for Chris and I.
40
had a bunch of fights together. He was a legend, and Donny obviously had Liam for 100 fights. So yeah, mad respect to Donny. He was the coach against us too when we were kids as well,
and cornered us too. A lot of times, yeah.
Well, as we all know, like there's you got to get him on the podcast too.
Yeah.
You might have to do it at the Morayfield Tavern, but you got to get that happening.
Had the bar in the back.
There's a cool story. I don't know if Liam will tell it, but about Lenny Hams from Kingaroy, about what he used to do to you when you were a kid. You tell that.
He used to my old trainer Lenny. He'd always say, "Liam, you're the greatest. Like you're the greatest." Remember that?
How old were you?
I was between 10 and 13. And I didn't realize that was Muhammad Ali until probably only 3-4 years ago when I started getting more familiar with boxers and what their quotes were. And then I put he said to me all the time, "Remember, Liam, you're the greatest." Even I got a text message a couple of days before the fight.
Same
It's like,
thing.
"Liam, you're the greatest." It was actually on Facebook. I didn't.
But he'd make you repeat it, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
In the car.
What are you? You're the greatest.
Coming home from fights, he'd make Liam repeat it.
Yeah.
Say it, Liam. What are you? I'm the greatest. I am the greatest.
Yeah,
At 10, like that's special, isn't it?
It's crazy.
Like Lenny Hams right now, he's got to be in his 80s. Like he's an old fella.
Yeah. He was when we were kids. He used to ref all our fights.
Wow.
Yeah, no, he's an absolute legend, and yeah, I mean that's where he came from, Kingaroy.
Yeah.
So shout out to Lenny Hams and all the people at Kingaroy because they've got a champion.
Yeah. And look, we'll always come back on the panel anyway and talk about our history in that. But just how did you get into boxing? Like, what was your entry into the sport?
I had I think if I didn't find boxing, I would have found some sort of combat sport, whether it be MMA or Muay Thai, whatever it would be. I think I'd been drawn to some sort of combat sport. But how I got into it was I had a best mate at the time, and he started boxing, and I didn't know nothing about it. Usually you know everything about your best mate, and he come to school with a trophy, and he's got I fought in the weekend, and I was just so jealous. Hey, I was like, what? Like, no, I'm the fighter of the group. That's actually what I thought. Like I'd wrestle with my mates and I'd be the champ. I was the best, and I was so fucking jealous. I went back and I was playing soccer at the time. I said, "Dad, I need you to take me down to Lenny's and got to start boxing." Yeah, so I was doing soccer and boxing for 3 years, and my mate gave up boxing and I kept going, and here we are. Like I had 13 fights for Lenny, and then at the age of 13 I moved to Caboolture. Just a family decision, and then I had to make a decision. Was going to do boxing and soccer, and then Donny said to me, he's like, "Mate, you get fucking hurt in this sport if you come 4 days a week, 2 days a week. You get fucking hurt in here."
You get hurt anyway.
and for him saying that, like I was already scared of the bloke anyway. So him saying
he's
that,
a legend.
him saying that, I was like, yeah, right. I'll buy soccer.
Yeah, wow, crazy, man.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And you're someone I wanted to have on the podcast, Chris, because you speak differently. You kind of speak to like the subconscious mind. I remember with my last fight with Dana right in the back, and you're just repeating things just for my mind to hear. And across all boards, not many people can kind of speak to the mind like that. So I don't know, like, is that a skill or a tactic that you picked up somewhere?
Yeah, I don't know, mate. It's just something that I do. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Well, it's special because all the fighters, like, I know you do it for Liam, you do it for Vegas too. It's just something, you know how to pull the heart. It's not really the heartstrings, it's just knowing why we're even doing this. Like,
Reassurance.
Yeah. Like, we're all different fighters doing the same thing, but we've all got our own stories.
He's the master. One time he wasn't there, Liam lost.
Oh!
You leave the master, you're heading for disaster.
Yeah,
That's what Noxie used to say.
That's true.
Noxie
Shane
says
Knox
that
used to say to us all.
Shane Knox is a legend too.
Yeah. Good to have him on, eh?
But yeah, I mean, having Chris in the team for me also is huge. It's like I'm sitting on the edge of the ring and I talk the same language as Liam, like as in because we're always together and always working together. You know, Chris is behind me, prompting me because we also speak the same language in our own way. So he's telling me, get him on his jab, get him. You know, then I'll decipher that what I think will work for Liam after I've seen how he sparred and how he's boxed. So without him behind me, it doesn't work as well as it does. It's actually a very pleasant corner to be in, having Chris He's so calm. Obviously, you see he never wants to be in the photos. We had to pay him $20,000 to get him here tonight for the podcast, very unwillingly. He always flies under the radar. But yeah, he's anybody that's had him in the corner, yourself even, and that fight you didn't win. But I'm sure you remember what he was saying to you before the fight, and I'm same as Liam and same as Vegas, and not only that, we've coached in Queensland teams together, and probably some of the best times of our life going over to Adelaide, and we won 7 Aussies out of 9 with both of our sons. It was amazing time. Some of the absolute highlights of our lives. So having him a part of the team is really good.
I bet you both feel that there's still so much more to do. You've only just begun this whole All-Star.
Yeah, we just don't take it that seriously, to be honest. Like, it's at the end of the day, as good as fun as this is, and we'll always hold this is what will keep us grounded. As fun as you guys boxing and winning is, there isn't anything better than little kids boxing. Still nothing better than little kids boxing. It's just the purest form of the sport.
And what that means is nothing against it. Liam's just so high risk. It's not fun the week of the fight. Liam understands that. But the reward's greater with Liam's. Like it's the pinnacle of the sport. But when you're with the kids, there's no pressure, and nothing beats seeing a little kid either win their first fight, win their first Aussies. There's a difference. And Liam will remember the feeling going back to winning his first fight or his first Aussies, his first Queensland titles. So it keeps you grounded as a coach.
Yeah, nice. Like you said, it's boxing in its purest form.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
They because kids obviously don't, or they express their joys in a way where adults couldn't.
Yeah, and we've all been there. If you box as a kid, you can't disagree with that, because now Liam's he's at the top and he's getting close to the top. So, but you tell him that and he nods, because he knows he was that 10-year-old, and you're so fragile, you're so vulnerable at that age, and to put it all on the line for your family and your club and all that, like, and and yourself, it's their world much. Title. Yeah.
Winning your first trophy in front of your family and your friends, taking it to school.
Yeah,
showing your mate.
On the champion.
Showing your mates at Kingaroy.
Wow. So, man, do you think now, like, Liam's now broken into another tier of boxing competition? Like, because you're struggling to find sparring now.
Yeah.
What do you reckon is the go? Do you think Liam's going to have more American trips?
Yeah, that's a must. That's what it is at the moment. He needs that, because, even this camp, we got some real good rounds out of Ankush, Huda out of Fortitude. But, I mean, he fights at 69, so he's probably walking around at 74. Liam's sparring him at 62. And, they're super competitive rounds. Hats off to Ankush. Thank you so much. It helped us so much in this camp. And Vegas Larfield, so you got a bantamweight and you got a super welter, and we're super feather. It's different. He needs to be in with those super feathers, lightweights, featherweights that are fast. They got a high work rate. They're super explosive. They make you pay when you miss your shots. So yeah, he needs that. It's going overseas. It's just what it is.
He's also got a really good team behind him with No Limit and his manager Steve Scanlon. So there's the potential too to identify good sparring and bring good sparring in for him. Like he's at a level now where the investment's worth it. He's within grasp of a title. So the team that's around him, I'm sure they'll look after him, and it's going to America, or it's identifying and bringing in good sparring. So he's good enough to win anything as it is, but now people can see that investment and investing in him to get him to that next level and to get him over that line is worth it. It warrants it.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy because this is a sport/business where you can take any route, and Liam's had hard fights along the way, 11 fights in, but you can make that one mistake of going. You can be too ambitious.
Yeah.
Like anyone can be too ambitious and try and go for that next, let's skip a few, but it could be the worst thing, really. Yeah. So it has to be like a structured plan.
Yeah, it's very strategic. That's thanks to, when you've got No Limit on board, No Steve, Limit linking up with Liam and his manager, Steve, like they're not going to make many bad decisions, to be honest. Like they're
calculated risks. So he's got a very good team, even though it may look like they've thrown him in the deep end. The risks are calculated. So the way I'm up, it's pushing him and trying to extend him in all these fights that he gets better, like push him to his very limit with each opponent. And they've done a good job with that. And Benny wouldn't let him in if Benny didn't have faith in his ability.
Yeah. Well, you're breaking into that. Like you look at George Kambosos, You got, who else is really up there?
Jai, the Maloney's.
Jai Maloney.
Tim.
Maloney's been around. So
Yeah.
you're breaking into that almost that 1% of even Australian level.
Yeah.
Like you're
Liam
that next
Paro.
group. Yeah, Paro.
Yeah, Pyro,
Yeah.
of course.
So you're going to be that international kind of star that's going overseas. I think the sparring's going to do it for you.
Yeah,
That's where you're going to really.
that's what I think. I think as a team we know it as well. Like where we are now, no fight's gonna be easy. It's gonna be a test, and that's all part of it, getting to the top. But I think the trips overseas we're gonna have to do. The sparring has to change, and in the training camps, each camp's different, and we just got to keep changing things as we go, changing all and doing what's best. And I think we know the big thing is the sparring, so we need to get that. In Australia, we're just limited between orthodox and southpaws. But yeah, it's gonna be a rough road ahead. But I think we've taken these challenges throughout our career like many times, and yeah, we're not going to change the formula. We're just going to keep going, and
nice.
it's a risk, but yeah, you get paid for it.
Yeah, the real work really started in the last fight. Like Liam's career is going in stages, and from the rematch onwards, it's another whole stage. We're just at the start of that stage, and as you said, they're going to be hard fights. So.
And you got other teams doing the same thing in Australia. So Angelo Hyder, great coach. They bring in people from overseas. I mean, that's how Bruno got here. Sparring, Angelo sent Dempsey overseas. They brought in sparring partners for Liam Paro. So it's part of the game, you've got to take that next step. You can't just hope to be able to do it in your gym with the same people that you've always had.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
And the precedence there, it's in Queensland and around this area, we've got good teams doing that.
Yep. And you've attracted, this is your skill, your personality, just who you are as a person. You've attracted the opportunities to be able to now go overseas. You're looked after because you've earned your stripes.
Yeah, and that's right. Yeah, I've earned it. I've took all the risks, and in somewhat that's the way I got paid with it. You get the rewards, and you it's just a part of the whole thing. If I don't do the sparring on that, I'll be left behind, and it's just as simple as that. But yeah, I worked hard for all this. Worked so hard for all this, and yeah. So
what are you, 25 now?
25,
So
turned
it's
26.
15, you're 15,
this will be
16
my
years in the sport.
16 years in it. And yeah, I've been fighting since I was 10. We're not in New South Wales where it's 14. It's 16 years all fighting.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, I do know we're on the home stretch, I believe, and it's going to be a hard one. It's going to be hard.
And look, we can talk forever just with our history. That's why I like to happily have you on again, the podcast, and just some of our stories. We've all got funny stories. But this is the whole Noynay things and where you're going now. Do you feel, because now you're with No Limit, you've got Tim Zhu, and you even sparred with Nikita Zhu, who's again heavier. So what is he, 69 kilos?
Yeah, he fights at 69, yeah. So I don't know what he'd be walking around. That's probably the same as Ankush. These are, it's just a little bit unrealistic. It's not realistic. You don't get, and again, with him, it's fucking horrible because you think that he's going to go out there and try and box you a tactic when someone else is trying to bang him. He's going to send those bullets flying back. He's not going to be sitting there going, oh, let's just get some rounds out. He's like, all right, you can beat, if you're going to beat me, you can take me out of here on a stretcher because he's coming to fight. As you know, better than anybody. You guys are sparring here, and when we're up the road at the PCYC at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, and you're trying to kill each other.
How many spars do you think we've had over the years? All up.
Oh God, no! I swear at Donny's we used to spar. We used to train 4 days a week, and we'd be sparring 3 of them.
That was us, eh? Oh. So look, even I feel your look. So back on the topic of you attracting these opportunities now, you've earned your stripes. You're somebody that paints the way for all of us. We see what's possible. When we say Australia, it's too hard to box in Australia. We're not being paid. We have to still go to work. Have to come to training. You're now making it possible for everyone else. These kids that are coming through, they look at you like, oh man, I want to be in this position one day. So you're one of the few that have created that. So even I feel the difference now. I know you're gonna be going overseas and stuff. Oh.
That's because he's all in.
Yeah. And it is the roughest sport because how I lost, and then when you lost, I put myself I try to just remind like you might have lost, but it gives you the opportunity to come back and show everyone what you're made of. And you've done that before. You've done that before after the Foley fight. You come back to Australia. That's a big move.
Look, it's not about me, but I had 4 years off. Yeah. So I had 4 years off the sport, but it was Liam. It was Liam that was on the phone to me like, dude, you gotta come back. Because look, I would have been your age, 26, when I walked away from the sport. It wasn't Darragh Foley. It was just my whole life at the time. But it was you and Benny. But it was more so you, like, dude, you gotta come back to the sport. So me coming back, trying to have that second life. Look, it doesn't matter. I know how tough the sport is. So when I see that you're doing this and it's possible for everybody else, fuck, we've been through it all. We've had those hard fights, those hard spars, But I saw your loss and just what that meant for you, for the family, and we've got a history with Caboolture and all of that. But I understand that when I'm seeing you now progress, you're doing it, man. Like, you're doing it. We used to talk about this back at Caboolture.
Heaps, hey. When we were training, we'd
on
be
the
talking
mountain
about
and stuff.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like exactly this, eh? It was for.
Spoke about this then, but even though you're doing this, like, I'm like, fuck, this is it. Like, you're there now. So I know I'm emotional because I'm seeing this gap of you now. You're having to just do your thing because the developments, whether it's overseas in America, like, you have to spar the good boys now. You're giving away weight just to get a good spar here with the Southpaw or whoever it is.
And that's why we're doing the change, because that's just plain outright dangerous. Like, it is, but we've had to do it. We've been doing it for years.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
It has to change.
Yeah,
because
no,
I can't do that 3 weeks out from a fight and spar a middleweight, and if we got hurt, it's fair enough.
Yeah, that's right. They can't.
So,
no one can whinge if you have to pull out of a fight because you happen to spar middleweights.
Yeah.
Especially at this level, we need specific sparring, and we'll get all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's definitely something that has to happen.
Cool, man. Yeah, sorry about that. Freaking breakdown.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, but no, man, this is cool, and like, we can sit here and talk all night long. We've all seen. We'll put the video in here. It's gone viral. It looks exactly the same to the other Quadro KO.
Yeah, same angle.
Right? So back in the fight, did you know you could feel his weight? You could feel he was heavier.
I could feel, he hit me in the gut. Like, he must have just skimmed my body, but even like it skimming it, I could definitely feel the weight advantage.
Push you back a bit.
I don't know if it was because like this time I hopped in the ring a bit lighter. I was leaner, just in better shape. Wasn't carrying any excess sort of weight. So like between that and him being heavier as well, because he would have been probably.
Yeah, he was 67 in the ring.
Fight night, he probably had 3.5, 4 kilos on Liam in the ring.
Nah, more, because he would have been 67 and Liam was about 61 and a half, I reckon.
Yeah, I was only 61 and a half.
We'll try to get him a bit heavier, and we'll tweak that as we go forward. But yeah, he'd have been a good 5.5 kilos heavier, I reckon.
And like, I could definitely feel it. So I was like,
bit of a thump.
Yeah, just thump, just size, and with just a punch that skimmed me, I could feel the weight in it, the power sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like, I was so confident in that. Like, it was so different. I could think so clear. It really was like I was one step ahead. Everything me and Chris had gone over, me and Benny, I could think like it's the first time I felt I could listen under Benny. And I can't even believe the feeling I was feeling. Like, I was laughing in my head when he was doing something.
I saw you.
It was like he
pretended he was knocked out.
I knew about that too. Like, that's what usually I do. I get sucked into it. So it was like the tables had turned.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt, even when he was punching me in the gut, I knew it was the same thing as last time. He was punching me in the gut to try and bring the overhand over the top. Yeah. And I was laughing in my head, like, thinking, fuck, don't try that.
Don't even try.
Don't fucking try that. I was just one step ahead.
Yeah.
I could hear Benny clear as day.
Yep.
Like, it was weirdly clear.
Yeah.
And like, I remember when I did knock him out, I remember just like touching with my right hand, like, so easy. And obviously, like, the position I was in.
Nice.
And I thought, like, fuck, this left hook is going to come so hard next.
You knew.
And I knew I was like, tap, and bang. It did actually hurt my hand too.
Yeah, that was fast. That was almost.
Yeah, that's even fast in slow motion when you watch it back. You see, I've seen it again. Some people slow it down. It's still as fast as anyone else's normal punch.
Yeah.
That was devastating.
Yeah. I know. It was
perfect delivery.
It was very special watching it back the other night. I watched it again, and it was actually. The tactic was just followed so perfectly. Like, if we all will watch it back together. We haven't yet, but exactly the things that we did, it just worked to a T. It couldn't have worked any better. Everything that we thought was going to happen, and that doesn't always happen. You come up with a tactic and you have to change it on the run. You have to have an A, B, and a C plan. But the tactic worked perfectly, was executed perfectly.
And
obviously,
I could feel it from the get-go as well. I was like, all right, I'll have the leader hand out and see how he reacts. I could feel the awkwardness straight away. And I think because we've tied down the game plan for so many weeks and months beforehand, and then for it to unfold straight away, and I could feel it. I knew it was going to be a good night. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Absolutely everything I was doing. What me and Chris went over, the positioning with the southpaw, the lead hand out, what me and Benny went over. Like the training was so boring.
Yeah, I was about to say that, yeah.
I was like, fuck, we doing different hand pads or what? I think I did Saturday. I was like, mate, I need different hand pads.
The most repetitive stuff that we just had to drill out, because it's not one of those fights. It's not one of those fights where you might get stuck in at short range. You might do, this is the tactic. We just had to drill it until it become boring.
Oh.
And even before the camp, we were doing the same thing. We were doing shadow boxing here, and you were shadow boxing exactly the same way we wanted you to fight. And it was like, all right, this is the tactic. We've got to drill this. We've got to drill it. And it's just, we added little stuff to it all over camp. But
yeah. And the camp was 10 weeks, but I'd been in the gym for probably 5 to 6 months, I reckon, after the break after the first one.
Yeah.
But we started basically doing the game plan then.
Yeah.
Not full on training, but yeah, we were partner work.
Yep.
We're just doing.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's credit to Vegas too. Like,
huge.
Man, like, I honestly reckon he felt better than Joe Noynay, and he's not even a southpaw.
Yeah.
And I fuck shit. Like, this guy's replicating him so well.
Wow.
I do feel like it helped me out so much. Again, the sparring.
Yeah.
Having southpaw sparring, I could their power hand. I knew where I was coming from. I was aware of it.
Yeah.
And it just it gives me so much confidence now. Now I know what the stand is. A good training camp and a good game plan, it will unfold good on the night.
You got to give credit to Red too, because he's like your assistant.
Yeah.
He's one that cooks. What does he do? Cooks. He's on your phone.
Cooks,
make sure
on my social media.
Your driver.
Yeah, I hate everything.
Yeah.
Booking my doctor's appointments.
Yeah. Wow.
Just it was unbelievable.
Just so you don't have to think about it. You have to do all of that. It's just the fight.
Yeah. It was crazy. He blew me away.
Yeah.
Oh,
amazing.
I was like,
he was
this
so
guy
amazing.
was in my back pocket.
Yeah.
Like, I had dinner already. He had like labels on the drinks of like when to drink them, and it was really good. Hey.
Well, there you go. You're reaching a level now where you need this assistance. You can't do it all by yourself now.
No, definitely not. And
back to the Vegas thing. That was true with the sparring. Like, because at the start of the camp, Vegas can box southpaw. We've had him box southpaw in Aussie title finals and Golden Gloves finals and stuff like that. So he can do it. But even at the start of the camp, he was catching you with shots. And having that, and he was whipping them over, like, he was boxing very well.
He was, and like that, and it was like put me in a different mind as well, because I'm thinking, fuck, this guy's just like Joe Noynay, and he's getting me.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I had to then it was like a battle. It was actually like me training for Vegas at the time, because I thought Vegas was actually better than him. So I just had to think, like, all right, well, if I can outsmart Vegas, well, then the fight will be okay.
Yeah.
And fuck, he helped me out so much credit to him.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like,
And as the camp went on further and further, the tactics started. And the best thing was we drilled it so much with Vegas, who was sparring us at least once a week, sometimes more. But he knew the tactic. So by the end of it, you could implement the tactic against Vegas, and he knew it. That's when you knew that you had it sorted, because he knew what was coming, but he still couldn't really do much about it because you executed it so well.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, all credit to him, bloody hell.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. Cool. So when do you leave for America?
Sunday, I'm told. So Sunday to Sunday, just for the week.
Yeah.
Go watch the Tim Tszyu fight, and pretty much a little quick journey. Go support him, look around.
We'll finish off with a couple of last questions. Liam, did you feel with the whole camp? Okay, you lost, because we understand the sport. It's fickle. You got friends. You've got enemies, all that kind of stuff. But you get to see, because I saw when I lost against Darragh Foley in that first time, I saw even my own inner circle just kind of change. So I had to really come to terms with the reality that I lost, so I must be a loser. When you lost against Joe Noynay, did you notice any differences with anyone around you?
Yeah, I think it was pretty natural for people to drop off, or more so that people, I could tell people lost faith. You'd see things on like Facebook and that, like comment your top, top best fighter in Australia, or the best few, and I'd always be up there. Then all of a sudden I wasn't. Not that didn't worry me, but it just made me realize what the Australian public was like. And then and I could tell certain friends, even some family members, I could tell when I took the rematch, a lot of them were questioning like, "Oh, you sure? Is your head okay? Like, you think it's a good idea? Should you have a few warm-up fights?" And that just motivated me. I could tell if people lost motivation, if people lost faith in me, I just had to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Whether they're fans, friends, enemies, it's just simple motivation. Like,
and I think even because I've seen since I've come back from Thailand, been back for a couple of years, everyone wants to hang out with you. Everyone wants part of that Liam Wilson coffee time. You know,
and I try and filter that as best as I can without being an asshole.
Yeah.
But I just simply think, well, where were you 4 years ago? Where were you? Just simply that question. Like in my head, I'm like, where were you then? So if I gave time to everybody, I wouldn't even have a life. Like I'd be too busy trying to keep people happy, please other people. So I just have to really remember who the true people are, who have been there from like day dot, and I know who they are. So that's not a hard job for me to figure out who's there and who's real, who's fake.
Chris, I want to get your perspective on what does a loss mean in the pro game.
Depends where you are in your career. Liam's first loss didn't really mean anything. I mean, it hurt his ego and the perception that some people in Australian boxing community had of him in the public. Liam was really lucky with a good team, so they were able to secure that rematch. I think it would have hurt a lot more if he never got to rematch Noynay. I think that would have been something that even if Liam won a world title, it would have been something that he regretted in his career that he never got Noynay. So I think it's imperative for Liam that he got the rematch. But at this stage of his career, there's this whole mentality where boxers have to have O's and they go through undefeated. And it is a different era today, with social media and the marketability and that it is good to be undefeated, but it's not the most important thing. It's that you're always challenging and developing yourself. Because at the end of the day, do you want to have a 0 on your record and have just fought in Australia and be 12-0 or 15-0 or 20-0 against no one? Or do you want to test yourself and see if you can chase a world title and get one and potentially have a loss or 2 on your record, but get that world title? So it depends on what you want. It's not insurmountable to come past, though Liam was in a better position than a lot of other boxers because of the great team that he had, that they were able to support him in that to get that rematch. If he'd had a couple of losses in a row, that could have been a different story. Yeah.
Of course, especially at that level. Do you want to finish on any notes?
No, that's good. I'm happy.
Yeah, all good.
Yeah.
Look, a third episode. So thank you for coming on because I know you're going to America. Chris Evers, thank you for your time. Good to have you on every now and then if you can. Benny, thank you for helping us organise this too. But look, we're going to get Liam to sign something. So if you can sign this, just with your famous Liam Wilson signature. And again, this goes to our new subscribers.
Up and down. No, other way.
New subscribers, make sure you comment, share, let us know something in the comments if anything struck out for you in this episode, anything that Coach Chris Evers, Coach Benny, anything that that stuck by you, myself. Hopefully I didn't ruin the podcast with these tears. But look, we're going to choose another subscriber, so make sure. New subscribers, we'll give this one away and we'll announce on the next episode. So, guys, thanks for coming in. And we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Reese.
We'll
call it.
Had one job.
We'll
Train by day. Joe Rogan podcast all day.
Are we trying to just leave the camera there?